Hello, Loveland. I'm Mike Meldon, and this is what I'm calling a commentary on Loveland's drinking water, transparency, and responsibility. Now, for those of you that listen to me, I'm sure I have some new listeners today. I try not to interject much of my own opinion outside of the conversations that we have here on the podcast, mainly saying that I don't usually take time out just to speak my opinion on events. That does come out in conversations during episodes, but overall, I don't leave a segment like this. I think the last time I might have done this was on the school levy, the very important school levy. But this week, I see another issue that deserves a little bit more attention. And hesitantly, I decided to share my personal thoughts again. And these are my personal thoughts. So take them or leave them. I'm also keeping this separate from my segments. I'm not attaching it to an episode because out of respect for, the people that would be in that episode and those conversations. And because I want to make this message clear. I want it to just be about this. So this is just me speaking directly. And if commentary isn't your thing, I get it. You can feel free to stop now and go listen to that episode on the Loveland Castle. Like some of you, I grew up watching Channel 5 News. I can still picture Jerry Springer, Norma Rashid, Pat, whatever his name was, the weather guy. But Jerry would close out the broadcast with his thoughtful Jerry's commentary. Jerry always managed to make it, to take something that might be complicated or an emotional topic or, something that was going on in the news. And he always handled them with respect and perspective. And that's what I'm going to try to do here. I'm going to try to bring a little bit of that spirit, even though I'm not extremely comfortable doing this. I just feel, that this needs to be said. We're at a point where I've kind of sat around and, over the last week or so, waited for things to change. And now I'm like, okay, I gotta speak up. Now, I'm not here to attack anyone. I won't get personal. And I hope that those that disagree with me will extend the same courtesy in return, because this should be about facts, not feelings. So if you're still with me, thank you. And here we go. First of all, I want to give credit where credit is due. Okay, we're all pointing to this. This is what everybody's talking about, and it is great. It's great. If you listen to my podcast, you know I love me some Dave Kennedy. And this is, again, him and our assistant city manager, our city leadership. I'm not going to leave everybody else out, too. They have done a phenomenal job securing grants and planning for a new water system here in Loveland. We'll get to the problem why we need that in a moment. And this system will eventually give Loveland's residents safe, clean water for years to come, once it's completed, though, in 3 to 4 years from now. And that deserves real recognition. I mean, Dave, we are, as I talked to somebody the other day, we are ahead of other communities in getting these funds. We are ahead in the planning, but we do have our own water. There are not a lot of places that have their own water system, but again, ahead of the curve. My hat's off to them. That is something that deserves real recognition. But now here's where things get tricky. We have a water issue, one that's not being talked about clearly or urgently enough. Loveland's water is polluted with PFAS chemicals at levels higher than most nearby communities. Let me say that again. Our levels, yeah, everybody's got them, but ours are higher than our surrounding communities, right? There might be some that are close, but we're worried about Loveland and we are higher. Many residents simply do not know this or realize that our water is not like our neighbors. They haven't been given the straightforward information that they need to make these informed decisions about the water flowing into their homes every single day. Now, to be clear, another great job. Again, kudos. The city's website has plenty of information. It's great. reports, charts, data tables, right? Good information. In fact, the whole page. It's a comprehensive page. It's well done overall. But let's be honest. People shouldn't have to dig through a web page or charts to understand that their drinking water is not safe. We're not talking about a road closure. We're not talking about a city event coming up. This is our health. It should be put right in front of us. And the messaging lately, online, and on this page that I'm giving kudos to, and in a recent mailer that just came out this week, it says that Loveland's water is, quote, meeting current standards, end quote. And that sounds reassuring. And I'll be honest, before I dug in before this, I read that and I'm like, all right, that's all that really needs to happen, right? I was comfortable with that because I trust the people putting out the information. But I find out this is very misleading and problematic. And here's why. The city can technically say that it's meeting current standards, okay? It can say that because the EPA has given municipal water systems across the country several years in order for them to be able to comply with the new PFAS standard limits, right? So it's saying, hey, here's standards, and you can be in compliance, right? Even with higher numbers. And under the EPA's April 2024 rule, water utilities have until 2027 to finish their initial testing and until 2029 to meet the new enforceable standards. So technically, that is a correct statement. So yes, on paper, Loveland's water meets standards because these older, less strict rules are still in effect while cities work on upgrading their systems. But that gives our residents and everyone the wrong impression, like I had. It suggests the water is safe, when in reality, the levels of PFAS we're seeing right now are well above the EPA's latest science, the latest numbers that the EPA considers safe for long-term health. Just because compliance isn't required yet doesn't mean the risk to our citizens' health isn't real. And people deserve to know and understand that difference. Technically, yep, we meet the old state standards. But the new federal guidelines from the EPA are much stricter because updated science shows these chemicals can harm us even at extremely low levels. Under these new standards, Loveland's water is several times higher than what is considered safe for consumption. And here's the part that really matters. The new water system that everybody's counting on and applauding, right? It's great. It's still 3 or 4 years away, as I stated. And until then, we're all drinking the same contaminated water every single day. Our kids, pregnant mothers, all of us. That's why clear, honest communication isn't optional. It's essential. Right now, Loveland's wells are testing between 14 and 24 parts per trillion. 14 to 24. We have 3 different wells. 14 to 24 parts per trillion. The new federal limit is 4. 4 parts per trillion. And eventually it's going to be 0. It's saying we're letting 4. That means our water is 3 to 6 times higher than what the EPA considers safe. Again, in finished water, PFAS readings in Loveland are between 14 to 24. I just want to say it again. Well above the upcoming federal guidelines of 4 parts per trillion. Nearby, Claremont County, they reported no detectable PFAS. Okay? So yes, as some love to point out, this is a national, even global issue. But here in Loveland, the water we have is problematic. Our numbers are higher than many surrounding communities, and in the high end nationally. This isn't an abstract statistic. It's about Loveland families, Loveland neighbors, Loveland kids drinking this water every day. And I am not a fearmonger. I'm not saying something's going to come and that I want to fear. I hate that. This is reality right now. I'm not trying to scare you, but you need to know this to know that we should be able to make the decisions whether we want to drink it or not. And that's not coming to most people. And I had to dig, right? I had to go in and do my own stuff. So I'm going to repeat it again and again and again because it matters. Long-term exposure at these levels has been linked to increased cholesterol, changes in thyroid function, liver damage, impacts on pregnancy outcomes, impaired immune response in children, and a higher risk of certain cancers. This isn't just data. This is the water we drink. So to be honest, when this first came up, I thought everyone, regardless of the slate or the council membership, on council, whatever, once the facts were clear, once people asked for more transparency, right, it would happen. I thought it would just happen. And I was wrong. Right now, what I will refer to as the, quote, incumbent opposition slate, right, they deserve credit for raising awareness right now. They are giving this issue the attention it truly deserves. They are the ones that made me want to dive into this again, actually. And for that, I am thankful. I'm thankful. Sure, it's an election season, but that's the nature of the season, right? The whole point is you point out the holes that are in local government, and every local government's going to have holes. None are perfect. Listen to my podcast. I mean, everybody knows, they're doing their best, right? They're not perfect. And to their credit, that's not the only reason that slate is raising awareness. I know these people. They truly do care about this issue. And they want something done about it. And I'm not here to choose slates. Everybody knows I have friends on both slates. But I'm talking about this issue. And none of this takes away from any of the facts. The political part doesn't take away from any of the facts or the needs that I'm sharing right now. And having said that, even although the incumbents missed opportunities to do more about this during their term, to educate, to send out messages during their term, I get it. I get when you're in there, you're doing the work that you're doing, and you're not always looking for the problems. I get it. And I gave them grace as I started digging in. Because again, that's just the nature of things. The reality of daily life in government, right? But I truly believe that everyone, and I've talked to these people, even those not running for re-election, that were commenting or liking online, that saw this conversation going on, would come together once residents started asking these questions and say and do what needed to be done. When this came to light, I thought it would be addressed. I honestly did by those in charge. And that it would become part of everyone's campaign messaging, right? That we can do better, we will do better, and that we'll make sure that the people know and understand the reality of Loveland's water issue. And that didn't happen. I mean, just imagine if the city had simply included this information in their most recent blog post, knowing that it was getting fired up a bit, right? Or on a Facebook post. Residents would have gotten the facts that they deserve already. And honestly, it would have taken some of the wind out of the opposition's sails too. It would have. But where are the forward thinkers? Where are the doers? The people willing to say, let's just be transparent. Let's get ahead of this. Anyone on council or city government could have done this. It's simple. That just seems like it would have been the smart thing to do. right? Hey, you know what? We're going to work on this. We're going to make sure the people know what's going on. I'm going to make sure that comes out. But no. Why? Well, through conversations I've had with council members and candidates, I realize that many of them just don't see the issue the same way I do. I hear from them, like I hear from other people, it's a national problem, quote unquote. Or PFAS is everywhere and in everything. Or this is being politicized just because of the election. Some said that the city's already doing enough, and they keep pointing to these long-term, plans. And it became clear to me that they were not treating this as urgently as I'd hoped. One of them even said they hesitated to share these numbers to the public because it might cause panic. I mean, come on, I find that frustrating. I find it disrespectful and honestly disappointing. The people I trusted to speak up haven't. Instead, I've seen social media posts and mailers focused on what's coming in a few years, but not on what residents can do right now, or not in educating residents. And I ask, why again, why not? Maybe these independent voices that I thought might be independent they're not in favor. They don't exist. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to rock their boat. Or maybe some honestly don't see the threat, like I said before, the same way I do. They just don't believe in it. They don't believe in the science, which, man, I see a lot of these days. And I believe it's probably both, a little bit of both of those. But either way, the truth belongs to the public. They deserve the truth. And it's the citizens who get to decide whether they believe the science or not. But they got to be given the facts. Given straightforward facts. And again, that's why I'm speaking up. Because if things stay as they are, residents aren't getting this clear, direct information that they need to make rational decisions for themselves, their families, their loved ones. And look, to say this isn't easy for me, it's not. I like people. I like to be liked. I know what's going to happen after this. I know the chats are going to light up of the people that are involved in this and, people that I call friends. I live in this community. Like Mr. Hart said in the last podcast, these are my neighbors. I like all these people. I like the candidates. I like all of them on a personal level. But this is above politics. This is, I believe, very important. It's about respect. It's about responsibility. It's about health. And I really think this is needed to be said. And I did a lot of soul searching to put this out there. But a lot of these people I know because I got into this because I have a strong opinion and I believe I have integrity. I don't fold because it's what's going to make other people happy. And some people don't like that. And I can understand that. I faced personal attacks before for just saying, hey, more needs to be done. I don't think they're doing enough. I mean, people saying things to me, well, what about you? What are you online? Friends of mine, I thought were friends. But they're so, I don't know what. I don't even know what they're protecting when they're coming after me. What are they protecting? At the end of the day, I'm just a resident, one that happens to care deeply about this issue. And I also run a local environmental group, so maybe that gives me a different sense of responsibility to speak out when I see something this important being downplayed. Families are drinking this water every day without knowing what's in it and the repercussions. So I had to say something. And this is not about the election. It just so happens it is election time, and it brought it to it goes hand in hand. This is about leadership. This is about accountability. This is about respecting your residents. Whoever sits on council next has a duty to ensure residents get clear, accurate, and actionable information right in front of them, not buried on a webpage or in charts. And the people I believe would be proactive, independent thinkers have shown me otherwise. I wish I could say otherwise. I wish this wasn't the case. Hopefully this message and your voices can change this. At the end of the day, I'm not here to point fingers. I believe this is a simple, easy fix. Let's act now. Let's get ahead of this, right? Like I said before, if this is handled right, it can be just a lesson learned, not a lasting scar. Because this is about protecting our families, our friends, and our neighbors. If we can't have an open, honest conversation about something as basic as the safety as our drinking water, then we're missing the whole point of local leadership and community. But in the meantime, there are a few simple things residents can do to reduce exposure. Certified home filtration systems, especially those using activated carbon or reverse osmosis, can significantly lower PFAS levels in drinking water. Now, I could add to what I believe the city could do for its residents. It's out there, and other candidates are talking about it, and I believe those things are true. I believe there's more, but I want to just keep it to, hey, if the city just does the minimal amount and puts the real information in front of it, I'm fine with that. So I'm not going to get into saying the city could do these other things, but I digress. These filters can be installed under the sink or as a countertop system, and many are tested to meet NSF and ANSI standards for PFAS reduction. And if you can't install a filter right away, you can get bottled water from a verified source. Make sure it's verified. Not all of it is PFAS free. That's another short-term option. I run an environmental company. I hate buying bottled water. I have water bottles everywhere I go, but this is the option I had to go with for right now. Especially, bottled water or getting this. Make sure for infants, the formula you're making, that you're pregnant women, anyone with health concerns, okay, can do these short-term fixes to reduce their exposure. And then finally, what can you do? Residents can keep an eye on this. They keep an eye on the city's testing updates. They can stay engaged by asking for clear communication and faster action where possible. Because while we wait for a new water system, there are these steps that we can do right now to protect our families. And do your neighbors a favor. Share this podcast with anyone you know that is hooked up to Loveland's water system. Now, I don't make any money on this podcast. It doesn't get me more clicks. This isn't for me, right? But I believe the whole point of this commentary is they deserve to know this information. And now I may not have the reach of the city. And it's not my role, right? To be honest. And I hate to be put in this situation, to be honest, but I'm here. But if you share this, hopefully we can reach a good number of people and allow them to make their own choices on their drinking water. Loveland has always been about looking out for one another. And like I say, each podcast episode, we have something truly special here in Loveland. Let's keep it that way. Thank you for listening, and have a great week.